when we deal with the word fact and we're looking for how it works in the system of evidence, especially anything that is going on out there that is bringing you into a court for a liability, is going to enter some form of evidence. And this will definitely, hopefully, help you understand how damning picture documents are, passports, driver's licenses, things of that nature, because they basically provide evidence of consent. You've not only, you would have to place a picture and a signature onto a document of hearsay in order to prove that someone's taking on the liability for hearsay. So when we went through what is hearsay, we know it's not based on fact. It's just based on someone making a claim. So the very thing that your parents did unknowingly was just state a name onto a record by claiming that they believed that that name was entitled to be placed with the child. But in reality, of course, we know that a child couldn't be responsible for an error or a fiction, could not consent to enter into a legal contract with the state. And this is what this is all leading up to. And that's why the documents that you have, if it's got your signature and it's got your picture on it, then it's got your consent. And I don't want to hear about, oh, I'm in fear or otherwise or whatever it's going to be. That's just evidence that you have not put your faith in God. You've actually put your direction into a fear factor, trying to please the state and not God. So, and the evidence that they provide on these birth records has a lot to do with what we're going to show you is the evidence of how this is all working. So we're going to go to fact. Now remember, we're talking about fact here. So we're going to try to work in truth here. We're not going to work in fiction, but we're going to see what is the law dictionary, these legalists, what's in their mind when they wrote what the law of evidence, or what we call how they run it in legal, how evidence works in legal. And so under fact, in Black's Law Fourth, it says law of evidence. A circumstance, event, or occurrence as it actually takes or took place, a physical object or appearance as it actually exists or existed, an actual and absolute reality. Now that's truth, as distinguished from mere supposition or opinion. A truth as distinguished from fiction or error. So, in Ontario, when people apply for a birth certificate, they want to be known within the legal system as a hearsay fiction, a legal person. It will actually have a spot where they sign to give their consent. And they actually have a little pinion feather there because it's letting them know, it's letting the system know it's your opinion, you're authorizing it, you're taking responsibility for it, and you've consented to it. And that's how it comes about. So they're kind of telling you, but they're not going to hit you right in the head with the truth of the matter. There's clues within it, and they're being very, very delicate on how they do it, but they have to still disclose how it's operating. And so that definition there is just telling you that truth, or what a fact is not the same. It's completely separate from error or supposition or legal fiction. So when you go to the UN Handbook on Birth Registration, it says it's the UN Handbook on Civil Registration and Vital Statistics. This is how it operates. And it states quite clearly, because we have something underlined on the versions that came out of the 60s, the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. I've seen this. I can't verify the 80s, 90s, and 2000s having the same thing, but this is definitely the timing when the system was getting very rocking on social insurance and social security systems within the nations. And so it says here that it starts off, it says, since the registration record, which would be this, okay, is used as proof, It should be safeguarded from changes, which means that the law or its regulations, we'll call it the legal or its regulations, should ban erasures. That means erasures would be in a total erasing out of something. So they don't do that. They leave the error on there in plain view. So it says should ban erasures, okay, additions, insertions between the lines, etc. Although to allow for the possibility of errors when making entries, formal rules should be enacted to make exceptions for such mistakes in the record itself. For example, by providing that the word that is wrong or superfluous be underlined, the error or omission then being noted at the end before the record is dated and signed by the registrar and the informants. So they've noted that, but you know, it's quite interesting that the parents have already signed this before the division registrar does what he does. So it's not quite correct because it's not all working together before that happens. This document ends up in completion most of the time a day or two later, possibly however the timing factor is from the parents filling this in to the time it gets into the hands of the Registrar General's office or the registrar. And so therefore the division registrar looks at it and then he hands it off to the registrar, and then the registrar basically approves or disapproves of the record itself, and away it goes in, and then it's now available to be used to create the final hearsay document, which is the birth certificate, which is an ambiguous document because it's coming from something that does not give you legal title. And what's interesting about the way the Ontario ones come out, so if you're in Canada, you'll find that the early birth certificates would say certified extract from birth registration. Well, it doesn't say it's a true extract because they could never put true extract there because it's got falsehood in it. So they could never have a true extract from the birth registration because that means they would actually be putting out a birth certificate that just says your given name. And because the given name doesn't belong to the legal state, that would be a super fraud because they have no authority over your God-given name and it can't be transferred to the state. So that's why they can never give you a true extract. They give you a certified extract of a combination of truth and error mixed together to create a fictitious document that runs as a contract instrument that you will eventually be induced to surety. So this is one big fraud. And that's all I can state it as. So hopefully you're getting the message through this. Take some time, slow the video down. Sorry, I may be expounding it faster than your brain can take it in, because I know that's what happens. It'd be me going before a music teacher who is very, very good at guitar, and I'm just learning from the beginning, and I'm just struggling to see what he's doing. So you have to slow it down, and you have to go through it in pieces. And in fact, I'm coming from the standpoint that, as someone who learned to play guitar, I learned that through people that were very qualified, and it took me time to slowly break down what they were showing me so that I could actually make an accord, not a discord. So it takes time, and we're just going to take this nice and simple, and I hope that these videos are helping you, but you need to break them down, slow them down. All you do is pause the video, learn what's there, make notes, go on to the next point, and then see what did you gather out of that video by doing that method. So again, hope that these videos are of assistance to you, because they're certainly a labor of love, and we hope that that you're gathering more knowledge and enlightenment from truth.